Purple Ties Podcast. Great stories of Trevecca Trojans and life on the Hill.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Michael Johnson, and on the other side of the screen there is my great friend, Gregory Ruff. Greg, good to see you this morning. Boy, I'm excited about this Purple Ties podcast, and I think it's really cool that, just a few days ago we started talking about this dream, and now here we are on the air. Big shout out to David MacGyver Klimkowski back there at the control booth. What a great guy he is. For those of you out there that are tuning in, my name is Michael Johnson. I work as Director of Alumni and Church Engagement at Trevecca, and that's my good friend Greg Ruff over there on the other side. 25 years, the best SID in the business, and really an incredible gift to the university and to Nashville in general. Greg, let's kick this thing off, buddy.
Well, the first one, and the title says it all, is a Purple Ties podcast, the ties that bind all of us together. We talk about the levels of separation over the years between different people, and they all seem to connect back. We're going to talk about 4 Hall of Famers who, had it not been for the COVID-19, we would have been inducting them into the Trevecca Hall of Fame in just a couple of weeks. We're going to push that to the fall, but we wanted to recognize them today, and they are Chris Collins, who played baseball and coached here, Jennifer Bogner Solano, who played women's basketball here, along with Michael France, who played men's basketball here, and finally Kristen Archie Blankenship, who also played basketball here, along with Jennifer Bogner. Let's start with just really going through each one of them that will be going into the Hall of Fame, kind of what our memories of them are. To start with Chris Collins, who played baseball here, played twice, played as a freshman, left, tried his hand at a D1, came back to play his senior year, and really had a huge impact on the baseball program that was then being coached by Jeff Forehand, who is now at Lipscomb University. And he had what I would call one of the best senior years that you could have in the purple and white. Michael, what are your thoughts when you think about Chris as a player and also as a coach?
Well, I think one of the things that I remember best is how he came to Trevecca and then he left, and like the prodigal son, when he came to his senses, he came back for his senior season at Trevecca, and like you said, made a huge impact for Coach Forehand. 429 batting average that senior year, 20 home runs, 56 RBIs, one of the all-time great seasons, and then became one of the really youngest head coaches probably in the country at that time, and for 2 seasons, absolutely just tore it up there. And now he is in the Tucson area at Oro Valley Church of the Nazarene as the executive pastor. He's always been a leader. That's what I remember about Chris Collins.
Absolutely, and he's got his kids out there, and you can see the video that we're showing right now is of him learning that he was going in the Hall of Fame. So each one of these that we introduced to you, you'll see a video. We had their family help us surprise them with the knowledge that they were going into the Trevecca Athletic Hall of Fame. Next up is Jennifer Bogner, who was the first to ever score 1,500 career points and grab 700 rebounds. She played in the 2008 NAI National Championship game for the Trojans. And Michael, just your reflections on Jennifer Bogner.
One of the greatest combinations of intelligence and physicality that I can remember. Jen was such a determined player down inside, had really good sense about herself in the lane, incredibly accurate shooter, and that kind of mentality has really helped her greatly in the work that she's now doing, which I know you're going to be able to fill us in on.
Absolutely. She was NAI All-American. On top of that, she still holds the Trevecca record for rebounds in the career. And you can see the video rolling of her learning about her induction into the Hall of Fame. Right now, Jennifer is 5 months pregnant, maybe closer to 6 now. She's an RN down in Florida working on the front lines with the coronavirus, and she's working on her doctorate down there, and again, pregnant. And so we praying for her through all this, and also thank her for how she is representing the university down there in Florida. Now, Michael France, who is an All-American as well, was the NCCAA Player of the Year. One of the things about him is he was that guy that helped us through the transition from NAI to NCAA Division II status.
I think probably one of the more undervalued, perhaps, recruits that Sam Harris ever had during his tenure. We didn't know at the time, I think, in some respects, just how good Michael France was, because I think of the transition that you mentioned there, Greg. We didn't have the opportunity to have conference rivals and compete for a conference tournament championship and that sort of thing. So that NCCAA opportunity for us was really crucial while we made that transition. And Michael France, goodness, one of the most explosive dunkers that I ever remember at Trevecca, and yet an incredibly accurate shooter from anywhere on the floor.
Yeah, France could do it all. He had a 43-point game and a 41-point game, not something that happens very often in college basketball, especially today. And I thought some of his dunks were, he could do everything, but his dunks were just spectacular at times, and enjoyed broadcasting a lot of his games. He's married now to his high school sweetheart. They have 4 children down in living in Murfreesboro now, and he's a manager with Verizon. And so we give him a shout out there and all that he's doing. He's also working as an assistant coach at Blackman Middle Schools, and has started his own AAU team. And he's got a lot of stuff going on, but representing Trevecca well in the Murfreesboro area. Now, Kristen Archie Blankenship, a 3-year player, an All-American. And one of the things that I like to mention about her is because there are players that do great during the regular season, but when you see somebody that's special, they turn it up in the postseason, and Kristen did that. She was a 2-time NAI All-Tournament selection. She was also a Trans-South All-Tournament selection. Just talk about Kristen, if you would.
The old axiom that speed kills is a pretty good definition, I think, of Kristen's game. She brought an extra push up and down the floor. She was a very good defender, as I recall, a lot of steals and breakaway layups, but she was just tough. And I think what you're talking about there in terms of how she played at the national tournament level is a great indicator of that. She and her husband and family live out here in the Mount Juliet area near where we live in Old Hickory, and we get to see them every now and particularly at July 4th. Her husband has a really nice set up there with Titan fireworks. I usually see them about once a year, and every time I see her, I'm reminded of some great times on the floor.
Absolutely, and she and her husband live out in Mount Juliet, as you mentioned. She began working at Lipscomb University, where she earned her master's degree, and she's currently serving as director of graduate enrollment for the College of Education there. And she's also right now, I got an email from her last night, she's also doing a little bit of homeschooling right now, working at home. So she's one of the fortunate ones right now that's able to work, but also spend the time at home, and they have a great family out there. Well, Michael, that's pretty much concludes what we had planned for this first episode of Purple Ties, the Purple Ties podcast. We're going to do more of these, and we've got a lot of ideas for this, and we hope that people will enjoy it and watch as much as possible and share it. And just your thoughts as we conclude the first episode.
Well, this is something that ties right in, no pun intended, to what we're trying to do with the alumni office, which is to keep people connected to each other through Life on the Hill. And what better way to do that than through the Trojan Athletics program? Over 2,500 alumni from Trevecca have played an intercollegiate sport across the years. We celebrated 50 years of intercollegiate athletics a couple of years ago, actually now, and 50 years of this was be the 50th season of the baseball program at Trevecca. Yep. There's a lot of history there, and we need to tap into that history, celebrate all the good things that are going on right now, and then tie all of that together again to build this future. It's kind of uncertain right now what that may look like because so much has changed since this coronavirus has hit us. But here's what we know. Trevecca has endured so many different challenges across the years, and I expect us to rise even higher into the future. And one way we're going to do that is if we all pull together as alumni and friends of the university and celebrate the good things that God is doing among us.
I think one of the things, just to add in concluding this, is that I think if people knew what was going on behind the scenes at Trevecca right now and over the last several weeks through this, they would be very proud of the leadership
Absolutely.
of the university, the decisions that they've made, and the care with which they have made these decisions. And I know you've been privy to maybe even more of that than I have, but that just was a very sobering realization for me as we started going through this and decisions were being made. But I was very comforted by how the decisions were being made and the communication that was being made through that. Well, Michael, this has been fun. We've spent a lot of time broadcasting over the years and probably as much time traveling to ball games together. And this was a lot of fun to do with you. So I hope that everyone knows the guy that really made this happen is behind the scenes, David Klimkowski. He is at an undisclosed location. We do not reveal that to anybody because he doesn't want to, and he threatened us with our lives if we disclose where he is. But this would not have happened without him. Just literally a week ago, this was nothing, and here we are broadcasting live on the podcast, the Purple Ties podcast.
Greg, thanks for buying into this with me, buddy. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
And thank you, David.
Absolutely. Hey, thank all of you for watching. We hope you will share. Oh, got one more thing. Imagine that. Michael's got one more thing.
No. You were doing it right there. I just wanted to say that the main thing is that we could do this, just for fun because we'd get some kicks out of it. But if nobody's watching it, it's a little bit in vain. So thanks to everybody that was tuning in there today live, and we hope you'll share it and get people, tied in to the Purple Ties podcast.
All right. That's it. We'll wrap it up. Thank you for watching. Again, we encourage you to share it, to view it as much as you can, and we'll let you know when the next one is. And if you have ideas for it, obviously you can email us and let us know as well. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Purple Ties Podcast. Great stories of Trevecca Trojans and life on the Hill.